Welcome to New Possibilities. I speak truth to power without fear. So this is going to be a brief video about Malik Yoba. As you all know, he recently did an interview on The Root, and I will post a link to that video in the description box so that you could check it out. And basically in the interview, he got mad and he stormed off the set. And I'm just going to go through some of the highlights of the interview and then just provide my brief commentary. So you all know that Malik Yoba got into some controversy because he talked about how he was trans attracted. And, a lot of people were criticizing him, saying that he's gay and all that kind of stuff. And I'll get into that in a second, but that's not going to be the focus of this particular video. So, so he did this interview with The Root, and, they asked him about this whole issue. And he kind of presented himself as some champion for trans women and this and that. He even went so far as to compare himself to Malcolm X, Marcus Garvey, Mandela, simply for talking about how he's attracted to some trans women, which is ridiculous. And that's another thing I'm going to talk about in a second. So during his interview, he thought it was just going to be free publicity for his project or whatever. He thought it was going to be a softball interview, but during this interview, the person who was conducting the interview basically asked him about allegations that have been raised against him. Like this one trans woman says that he solicited her for sex when she was only 13 years old. And then at another occasion when she was 16 years old, a minor, obviously that's illegal conduct, it's prostitution, number one. Number two is with a minor. Then number three, you had a whole trans things that everybody can talk about. And then, there have been a series of women that have been complaining, trans women in particular, basically talking about how this man is fetishizing trans women and is not really expressing love for them or advocating their issues. So Malik Yoba, when he was presented with these questions, he felt like they were gotcha type of moments. He felt like they weren't included in what the people talked about ahead of time in terms of the content of the interview. So he proceeded to get very upset. And the person that was conducting the interview, like, he was very snide or whatever. He did make some, like, off-color type of remarks, basically, just disrespectful remarks, really kind of disrespectful remarks. So I can understand why Malik Yoba got upset. But let's get into this, man. First of all, this whole trans attracted thing, I just want to deal with that for a second. Number one, no heterosexual man is quote unquote trans attracted. If you're trans attracted, you're gay, point blank. Ain't no man gonna be attracted to some, transgender quote unquote woman and not be, and be heterosexual. I could see if, for instance, somebody doesn't know, they from a distance or something like that, or seeing some quick photo and they had no idea that that's a trans person. But if you know and you're deliberately, quote unquote, attracted to trans people, then you are a homosexual, period, or a bisexual. So that's one thing, and you can't run away from that. It is what it is. The other thing is this, man. Like, this guy is trying to present himself as some kind of hero. Like, assuming that these allegations are true, like, if these allegations are true, then this man can't present himself as some kind of advocate for trans people when he's exploiting trans people, when he's exploiting minors, sexually exploiting and abusing underage trans girls. So that's one thing. It's an example of hypocrisy. And then, like, the interviewer was saying, if these allegations are true, it's like he's centering everything around himself, presenting himself as some kind of advocate, some kind of hero, when he is in fact somebody that exploited trans women, if these allegations are true. And that brings me to another point. Malik Yoba made a good point during this interview. He talked about how, like, people assume that because something is on social media that is automatically true. And, obviously that's not the case. Like, just because some transgender woman has put out some statement saying that he engaged in sex with them when they were a minor, or, participated in prostitution, or, solicited her, that doesn't make it true. You know, even if other people have said that, that alone doesn't make it true. You know, those statements aren't subject to, like, you know, sworn, they're not sworn statements. You know, they're not subject to, like, any kind of strict um, questioning or anything like that. That's just some statement put out on social media. So there's no way to verify whether or not it's true. So, you know, just based on that, you can't, you know, accuse this guy of all kinds of things. You can say, well, he's allegedly, you know, accused of X, Y, and Z, and those allegations do raise serious questions. But too often in this culture of ours, we assume that any kind of allegation that's put on social media is in fact true. So, you know, that's one thing. And then, you know, this guy was talking about, like, basically presenting himself as being persecuted for advocating for trans women and stuff like that. You know, comparing himself to, you know, again, Nelson Mandela, Marcus Garvey, Malcolm X, you know, basically saying that he's fighting for oppressed people. How is talking about how you're sexually attracted to a trans woman fighting for anybody? That's not fighting for somebody. Talking about your sexual orientation and stuff like that. That's not no cause. You know, simply saying that you are attracted to somebody. That's not fighting for somebody and stuff like that. And, you know, the fact that he's being questioned about very serious allegations of having sex with 13-year-olds, that doesn't make him some kind of martyr or anything like that. You know, Malcolm X, Marcus Garvey, Nelson Mandela fought for black liberation. They fought for their people. They spoke out, and they were persecuted by the establishments. So, you know, to compare this guy talking about his sexual preferences and his sexual desires to the plight of Malcolm X and Marcus Garvey and, you know, Mandela, people who were trying to liberate their people, is preposterous, and it just shows you how self-centered this guy is, you know, and it's, you know, an inflated sense of self that this dude has. So anyway, man, I just wanted to share my quick thoughts about this. And also, like, I can understand why he was upset during that interview, because I guess he agreed upon how the interview was going to be conducted. And then because it didn't go that way, and because the guy was asking him serious questions, he spazzed out. Now, I think he could have cut the interview short like he did without acting like a jackass, you know. So, you know, so those are my brief thoughts about this, man. Tell me what you think about Malik Yoba talking about how he's trans attracted. What do you think about the interview? So with that, peace and blessings. Please rate, comment, subscribe, like the video, share the video, hit that notification bell so that you'll know when I post new content on here. And support this channel, man. Peace and blessings to each and every one of you.